Okay, so we're back here for part two of our setup for success consultation process that I'm sharing with you guys. What I do with my clients to ensure that their results stick long term. Now, where we were at the end of the last video was the if not process. So this is projecting ourselves in the future. It's something that some people might refer to as the Dickens process. If you guys remember A Christmas Carol with Charles Dickens, Scrooge is shown Christmas past, Christmas present, and Christmas future, and he's terrified of what happens in the future. Obviously, he's dead in the future. Now, that's not necessarily the case for most people, because if we're doing this, like if I've done this with some younger clients, let's say like you're 20, and I project you 10 years into the future, you might not see yourself as dead if we don't do anything, health wise. You might just see yourself, well, and we'll go back, but you might see yourself as, example, overweight or low energy levels. So the questions I ask at this point is, if we do nothing for the next 10 years, and we're 2019 now, so if we're 2029, and let's just assume your name is Joe, I'll say, well, what does the 2029 Joe look like? So whatever word comes up, I'll make sure to write that down. And then I'll say, well, what are his energy levels like? So we'll write that down on a scale of 1 to 10 or 0 to 10. What are his energy levels? What does he feel about himself? How does he see himself in the mirror? What are his confidence levels like? And what happens is, because we've done nothing, people will project this kind of scary monster in the future of who they don't want to become. And that's a point in my consultation process where the energy kind of gets sucked out of the room a little bit, because people start becoming afraid. And when they're afraid, you close off, you tend to kind of just, you back up, and you're in your own thoughts, and it's scary, but that's the point. So I also ask, um, you know who have you disappointed? And if it's yourself, that's great. If it's other people, if somebody has kids, kids are tremendous leverage. So if they go, well, my kids are, would be disappointed in me, or my spouse or something, we write all that down. And then what I do now is I ask to name this person, meaning the 2029 Joe, or a version of you, this person who is everything that you do not want to become. We want to name this person. So by doing that, it allows me as a coach leverage on you. And the leverage is one word, right? It's one or two words. So example, what we'll do is, I'll ask you, like, name this person. And I've had in the past, people will say, example, well, it's their parent. It's, like I've had somebody go, well, listen, I don't want to become my mom. So whatever the mom's name was, we're writing that down. Now, it's not that because, that's a bad person. It's not like I was going to go tell her mom either. But meaning physically and energy wise, that's not the type of person that they wanted to become. Now, it could be somebody else. I had somebody else who just recently, who's in a certain scenario of their life, of a certain moment, and his fear was becoming like his father-in-law. His father-in-law died young, got some similar health conditions as his father-in-law did, and he doesn't want to go down that road. He's like, I want to be around for a lot longer. I don't want to die in my mid-50s. So we used his father-in-law's name. Now, it doesn't have to necessarily be an actual name of a person, but it could be something that you don't want to be. So some people have said, the term that they use for that type of person that's done nothing in 10 years. Example, I've had people say, I'm a loser. I feel that's stupid, Johnny. That's, silly. Whatever adjective or noun you want to attach to it, it means something to you. It could be, that's a lazy fuck. I've had somebody say, they're a fucktard. I'm like, hey man, whatever word is going to elicit some emotion in you, that's the one that we want to use. Okay? So once we have the who we don't want to be, we've done the if not, and we've named this person. So now what happens is you're kind of in this like, ugh, this, we'll call it a shitty state. We don't have a lot of energy and we're a bit afraid because we feel like we're going to become that. But we got to bring you back to the present moment. And in the present moment, we have the ability to become anything that we want. And I want to make you not only just, go back to the norm, I want to make you feel fantastic. So we go back to the why question. And the why question was, give me 3 reasons why this is super important. And I tell you now, well, let's pretend that, you've accomplished all of these things. And let's go back to a moment in your life where you've had this sense of accomplishment or whatever one of the whys is. So if it's, I want more self-confidence, let's go back to a moment where you felt extremely self-confident. Either you had some type of academic achievement, you did something really cool, you learned something, you experienced something that you didn't think that you would experience, you conquered something, you asked the person out on a date, or you made this amount of money, something that made you feel great, like you were on top of the world, like I couldn't conquer anything. And we've all had at least one of those moments in our life. So I asked the person that's in front of me, I go, let's go back to that moment where you felt invincible, where maybe you graduated and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe I did it. Let's bring you back there. And it helps at this point sometimes to close your eyes and go back to when you felt superhuman, if you will. And what we're going to do at this point is we're going to name that person. So we're going to name this superhero you. Now, again, it could be anything. It could be an actual name. It could be the name of a superhero, just because it comes up often. I've had people either say Superman, or the Tank, or what else have I had? I've had I felt invincible. There's a whole bunch of words out there, but it means something to that person. So being invincible doesn't really elicit an emotion in me, but for somebody else, oh wow, I felt fantastic at that point. So sometimes it's the name of a role model they might have had, or somebody they looked up to, or they do look up to. It could be anything. Okay, it could be a celebrity that like, I want to be more like that person. Whatever it is. For myself, I've always looked up to Arnold, so that was one of mine. When I've done this a few times, whether it has to do with business, or it has to do with my personal physical goals or something like that. So you want to embody that person, and that provides me even more leverage as a coach on you. So example, if we had as our bad word, as an example, well, that's stupid Joe. That's the guy that I didn't want to be. But then on the other side, we have somebody that says, like when you felt on top of your game, maybe we called yourself the Tank. So if you're not feeling so great and you're having a bad day, I got to ask you the question, are you being stupid Joe, or are you being more of the Tank? And a lot of times people are so terrified of becoming the negative connotation that we put, that they're going to flip quickly to the other side. So I use that a lot with people. That provides me with leverage, provide you with leverage. Moving forward, I'm going to try to sum up the next little bit in the next minute here. We want to come up then with a celebration, something that, so in our consultation process, we come up with a celebration of how we're going to celebrate when we achieve the goal, not if, but when. And we've got to determine this now, not once it happens, because once it happens, we'll brush it off. So we go, listen, this is what I want to do. I'm writing it down. Once you have that, you create a timeline, and we stick to it for now, because things can always be adjusted. There's always bumps in the road. We might get there sooner. We might get there later. Part of any good road trip, there are things that we cannot predict coming up, okay? And last but not least, so you have these 5 items. You're going to write them on a cue card or a Post-it on 3 of them, and you're going to make those visible throughout your day. So you're going to attach those Post-it or cue cards either on the mirror in your bathroom, on the fridge in your kitchen, right by your computer, at work, at your desk. Put it as the background on your phone, put it in the car, make them visible. That's pretty much the consultation process. If you have more questions, by all means, message me and I'll get back to you.